Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Radha Govinda Dev ki jai. Kalyuga mein Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna and welcome to another session where we will be having lots of katha. There's a lot to cover, so we are going to dive right in as soon as possible. First, in order to bring our minds to the proper mindset of journeying into the divine spiritual realm of Vrindavan Dham, even if it is virtually, we are going to sing our ever-present Jai Radha Madhava, compiled and put together by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, just so that we would be able to unlock and open the door to the spiritual realm and enter into it with all our hearts. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jannavalabha Girivaradhari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jannavalabha Girivaradhari. Jashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tiravana Chari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jannavalabha Girivaradhari. Jai Radha Madhava, Jai Radha Madhava, Radhe Govinda Jaya, Radhe Govinda. Shri Radha Madhava ki jai, Shri Radha Govinda Dev ki jai, Shri Virtual Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So today we are going to begin our journey into Krishna Katha with the glories of the Ekadashi that are coming tomorrow. So tomorrow is, for me, and maybe even sooner. For some of you, depending upon where you are in the world, it is Padmini Ekadashi. So we'll be reading the glories of that Ekadashi from this book, which is Garga Samhita, compiled by His Holiness Danavir Maharaj. And I had put a link before. I will put that link again on where you can buy and purchase this wonderful book, all about the glories of Ekadashi as taken from Sri Garga Samhita for our entire benefit. So we've been reading from this book every Ekadashi so far, making sure that we understand the glories and the benefits that we can receive on each upcoming Ekadashi. So we'll start there, and then we will journey back to Vrindavan Dham, and we will see where we left off with the prayers of Lord Brahma to small Gopal. Padmini Ekadashi is described as follows. Maharaj Yudhisthira said, "O Krishna, O Janardhan, please describe to me what the name is of that Ekadashi that occurs during the waxing moon in the extra leap year month. What is the procedure for observing this Ekadashi? And what merit does one gain by observing it?" Lord Krishna replied, "O king, the name of this sacred Ekadashi is Padmini Ekadashi. If one strictly observes this Ekadashi, he returns to the abode of Lord Padmanabha. This Ekadashi counteracts all one's sinful reactions. Even Lord Brahma is unable to describe all the results of this Ekadashi." So how fitting that we will be speaking about Lord Brahma just after this. However, long, long ago, Lord Brahma described the glories of Padmini Ekadashi, which awards its followers opulence and liberation. It was described to the great sage Narada. Lord Krishna continued. I love that we are able to, just like Maharaj Yudhisthira, we are able to hear the glories of these Ekadashis straight from the lips of our Supreme Lotus-eyed Lord, the same Lord that we are trying to obtain the association of by following these Ekadashis. Lord Krishna continued, one should begin to observe this vow on the day of Dashami, or the day before Ekadashi. One should not eat foodstuff cooked by others. He should not eat in a plate made of bell metal, and he should not eat urd dal, chickpeas, spinach, and honey on the day before Ekadashi. One should eat boiled, sunned rice with ghee and rock salt. One should sleep on the floor and observe strict celibacy on the day of Ekadashi. On the day of Ekadashi, one should rise early in the morning, brush his teeth, and take bath. Thereafter, he should worship the Supreme Lord with sandalwood paste, incense, a lamp, aguru, camphor, and water, and one should chant the holy names and glories of the Lord. One should not indulge in useless talks. If one drinks water or milk on the day of Ekadashi, which occurs during the extra leap year month, then his vow is spoiled. One should remain awake at night on Ekadashi and glorify the holy names and qualities of the Supreme Lord. By remaining awake the first 3 hours of the night, one obtains the result of performing an Agnishtoma sacrifice. By remaining awake the first 6 hours of the night, one obtains the result of performing a Vajpaya sacrifice. By remaining awake the first 9 hours of the night, one obtains the result of performing an Ashvamedhi sacrifice. And by remaining awake the entire night, one obtains the result of a Rajasuya sacrifice. On the day of Dwadashi, or the day after Ekadashi, one should complete his vow by feeding the Vaishnavas and the Brahmanas. A person who observes this Ekadashi in this way certainly attains liberation. So, after hearing all of that, I just think with such great love and affection, how wonderful is Srila Prabhupada, who understood that all of these instructions is given to even Brahmaji, to Narad Muni, were going to be nearly impossible for us to fulfill. And so he made everything so simple for us. He said, you just fast from grains and beans and do extra chanting of the Mahamantra. That will satisfy every kind of austerity and tapasya. So if we look at all of this, the thing that should be impacted on our hearts the most is, this is what it means to come under the shelter of a pure devotee. This is what it means. Then the pure devotees make a contract on our behalf. They make a contract with the Lord on our behalf, so that all of us who are unable to perform all of these many austerities, our tapasya is lessened. And then joyfully, we perform whatever tapasya we can. And we read even yesterday that the Lord takes a very little bit of devotional service that is offered to him by his devotees, and he expands it. He makes a big deal out of it. This is our Krishna, and this is our Prabhupada. This is what it means to take shelter of Srila Prabhupada's movement. Even the amount of rounds that we are to chant every day, Srila Prabhupada has lessened for our benefit. This is why I am sold on Srila Prabhupada. Completely sold. I don't know that anyone else had made that contract for me. I cannot say that anyone else had made that contract for me, so I can't take shelter of anyone else. I have to take shelter of Srila Prabhupada. He made all kinds of arrangements, advocated for me, spoke up for me, even when I had no knowledge of any of this. Japa regulations were changed from 64 rounds to 32 rounds to just 16 rounds. Srila Prabhupada said, just chant your 16 rounds with attention. Just try and be sincere as you chant those 16 rounds. Do we think that the rest of it, the extra amount, do we think that all of that goes away? No. So what happens to the excess that we should have been doing? All of that extra devotional service that we should have been doing? Srila Prabhupada takes that on for us. Srila Prabhupada, in his ultimate, infinite, compassionate heart, takes on all of the rest of that excess for us. We aren't able to complete those vows. I know I can't do all of the things that are mentioned just for this one Ekadashi. Srila Prabhupada says, no worries. Don't worry. You fast from grains and beans. You keep yourself sincere. Dedicate more time to chanting the names and the glories and the forms and the pastimes of Sri Krishna. That will be sufficient. Which means he takes on the excess. There is so much that Srila Prabhupada is taking on for our benefit. I am so thankful to him. Especially after reading the regulations for this Ekadashi. Even just drinking water or milk, it says that this Ekadashi, if you drink water or milk, then your Ekadashi fast is spoiled. Srila Prabhupada has given us a special dispensation. He has compensated for us, knowing we are unable to do all of that. And so, he has wiped the slate clean for us. I will carry the rest of it for you, no problem. You just sincerely take a little tapasya. Chant the holy names more. We should be so grateful, chanting tomorrow in such a mood of affection and gratitude. Our hearts should be overflowing with gratitude tomorrow when we chant, when we read when we remember the name, form, qualities, and pastimes of our dearest best friend, we have to make sure our hearts are filled with gratitude, remembering Srila Prabhupada is overcompensating for us. Lord Krishna continued, O sinless one, according to your inquiry, I have thus explained the procedure for observing the Padmini Ekadashi. Now please hear about an enchanting story which Pulastya Muni once narrated to Narada Muni. Once, Kartavirya Arjun defeated Ravan and put him in the prison house. When Pulastya Muni saw Ravan in this condition, he went to Kartavirya Arjun and requested him to release Ravana. Being requested by the great sage, the king finally released Ravan. Upon hearing about this amazing event, Narada Muni humbly asked Pulastya Muni, O best of the sages, since Ravan defeated all the demigods, including Indra, how could Kartavirya Arjun defeat Ravan? Please explain this to me. Pulastya Muni replied, O Narada, in Treta Yuga there was a king named Kritavirya who took birth in the dynasty of Hehaya. His capital was Mahishmatipuri. We've heard about Mahishmatipuri before. Now once again, and it was on a further Ekadashi, so now again we're hearing about Mahishmatipuri. A lot of things happen there. King Kritavirya had 1,000 wives, but he had no suitable son to take over the reign of the kingdom. Although the king worshipped the forefathers, saintly persons, and observed various vows under the guidance of the saintly persons, still he was not blessed with a son. So the king decided to undergo austerities. The king entrusted the responsibility of his kingdom to his prime minister and set out to the forest to undergo austerities while wearing a dress made of bark. When he was about to leave his palace, one of his wives, Padmini, the daughter of King Harishchandra, who appeared in the royal family of King Ikshvaku, saw him. When the chaste wife saw her husband going to the forest to perform austerities, she immediately gave up all her ornaments. She then accompanied her husband to the Mandara mountain. At the summit of Mandara mountain, King Kritavirya and his wife Padmini performed several austerities for 10,000 years. This is because the lifespan within Treta Yuga was much longer. Upon seeing that her husband's body was becoming thin day by day, the chaste wife thought of a solution. Padmini humbly asked the greatly chaste Anasuya, the wife of sage Atri, O chaste lady, my husband has spent 10,000 years in performing austerities, yet he could not please Lord Keshava, who destroys one's miseries. O fortunate one, please tell me about a vow I can follow, so that the Supreme Lord will be pleased and I will be blessed with a son who will become a powerful king. Ladies to the rescue. Being pleased by the prayer of chaste Queen Padmini, Anasuya said, after every 32 months, an extra leap year month comes. The two Ekadashis of this month are known as Padmini and Parama. If you observe this Ekadashi, then very soon the Supreme Lord will be pleased with you and award you your desired result. Lord Krishna continued, according to the instruction of Anasuya, Queen Padmini duly observed this Ekadashi. Then Lord Keshava, riding on the back of Garuda, came before Padmini and ordered her to ask for a benediction. The queen first offered her obeisances to the Lord and offered prayers. Then she requested the Lord to bless them with a son. Then the Lord said, O gentle lady, I am very pleased with you. There is no month as dear to me as the month of Adik Mas, or leap year month. The Ekadashis of this month are most dear to me. You have properly observed this Ekadashi. Therefore, I will certainly fulfill the desire of you and your husband. After speaking in this way to Padmini, the Lord came before the king and said, O great king, please ask for your desired benediction. I have been pleased by your wife, for she observed the sacred vow of Ekadashi. So we see that there is no obstacle to women performing such beautiful austerities within Vedic civilization. They were considered to have equal amount of power and austerity and the power to gain the attention of the Supreme Lord. So I think this is such a wonderful, wonderful pastime that shows just how beautiful and how compassionate our Supreme Lord Keshava is. On hearing the words of Vishnu, the king became jubilant and begged the Lord to give him a son who would be very powerful and always victorious. He said, "O Madhusudan, the Lord of the universe, let me have a son who will not be defeated by the demigods, humans, beings, serpents, or demons." Then the Lord granted the king his desired boon and disappeared. Being fully satisfied, the king and his wife regained their health and returned to their opulent kingdom. In due course of time, the queen Padmini gave birth to a powerful son who became famous as Kartavirya Arjun. There was no other warrior in the 3 worlds as great as him. Even the 10-headed Ravan was defeated by him. After narrating this wonderful story to the great sage Pulastya left. Lord Krishna concluded, "O sinless king, I have thus described to you the glories of the Ekadashi which occurs during the waxing moon of an extra leap year month. O best of kings, anyone who observes this Ekadashi will certainly go to the abode of Lord Hari." According to the statement of Sri Krishna, Maharaj Yudhishthir with his entire family observed this Ekadashi. A person who faithfully observes this Padmini Ekadashi during his life becomes glorious. Even one who hears or reads the glories of this Ekadashi obtains a great amount of piety. So all of us have now been given the great benediction. We will gain such huge amounts of piety. This month is so specially known as one that can fulfill all desires. So we see, even if one desires a son, even if one desires the good and the benefit of their kingdom, whatever it is, the Lord is willing to grant those desires. However, we should know that with Krishna, if we desire these different benefits in order to continue and further our devotional service to him in loving affection, then he is very eager to grant these desires. However, if we just want these benedictions for our own selfish motives, not thinking about the Lord at all, then Krishna is very tricky. It is said that most people do not worship Lord Hari because he will not always give you what you want. He gives you what you need in order to come closer to your devotional service. And so then people are very fond of worshiping Lord Mahadev and Parvati Devi. They will give you what you want. However, their boons come with a catch as well. They are also lovingly under the guidance and the instruction of Lord Krishna. So ultimately, we should hope that we are wishing for whatever it is that is within our hearts, but ultimately so that it furthers our devotional service. So yes, absolutely. That is why demons do not worship Lord Vishnu. They are very eager to worship Lord Shiva because they feel as though Lord Shiva will give me what I want when I want it. And then they go and they do all of their dastardly deeds. Lord Vishnu, however, is not bound by those same rules. He does what he wants. And so he gives you what will be best for you and your devotional service. Because ultimately, what he really wants is us, our love, our whole selves, our souls back with him. So whatever it is that we are yearning for, we should hope and pray that it also keeps us within our devotional service, because that is most important. So now we will journey to Goloka Vrindavan, back to where Lord Brahma is reciting prayers to little Gopal, who has been standing in front of him patiently, quietly, observing his prayers with the wonderful potency of the most supreme 5-year-old that anyone has ever seen. What I love about these prayers of Lord Brahma, what I love about this entire pastime, what I love about so many of the pastimes within Srimad Bhagavatam, is that these pure devotees, so many pure devotees, make mistakes. For our benefit, they commit mistakes. Of course, there are pure devotees, they are above and beyond any mistakes. But they take on the role of committing mistakes just to show us how the Lord acts when his devotees make mistakes. Because we will. They show imperfections, apparent imperfections. Internally, they are perfect, but they show imperfections to show that this devotional service, this path of bhakti, this path of love to the Supreme Person who is none other than our dearest heart, it's not actually about perfection. The perfection is in doing our service. The perfection is in loving the Lord. The perfection is in how we recover from the mistakes, how we recover from the imperfections. And Krishna, in his wonderful compassion, doesn't say, you committed a mistake, that's it, gone forever. He looks for any reason to grant his favor and his mercy to his devotees. And then he says, now go. Tell everyone else about this pastime. Make sure everyone knows that this is what I do for my people. I pray that we are all counted among his people. Let us take shelter of these pure devotees and thereby get closer and closer to our dear sweet Gopal with his 2 small lotus feet, waiting with yogurt and rice and fruit in his left hand, patiently listening to the creator of the universe as he says prayer after prayer after prayer after prayer. We've been going through this for 3 days now. I am making a guess and an estimate that we will be finishing them tomorrow. So 4 days we'll be going through all of these prayers of Lord Brahma, but Krishna, smiling, just listening, accepting. So I'm very grateful that we have these prayers and we have this example. Brahmadev didn't need to create this pastime. He didn't need to commit an offense. He knows who his worshipful Lord is for us, so that we see the compassion of the pure devotees and the compassion of the Supreme Lord and how they interact with one another. He has done this. Lord Brahma continues, since all your pastimes are spiritual, there is no possibility of their being contaminated by the material modes of nature. When you place yourself subordinate to your father and mother Nanda and Yashoda, you are not reduced in your potency. This is an expression of your loving attitude for your devotees. Just what we were saying. What happens when the Lord considers you his own? That loving mood in devotion gets higher and higher and higher until finally the Lord says, I come under your control. You are not reduced in your potency. This is an expression of your loving attitude for your devotees. There is no other competitor or second identity than yourself. A person with a poor fund of knowledge concludes that your pastimes and appearance are simply material designations. You are transcendental to both nescience and knowledge, as it is confirmed in the Gopal Tapani. You are the original Amrit, nectar of immortality, indestructible, as it is confirmed in the Vedas. Amritam Shashvatam Brahme. Brahman is the eternal, the supreme origin of everything, who has no birth or death. In the Upanishads it is stated that the supreme Brahman is as effulgent as the sun and is the origin of everything, and anyone who can understand that original person becomes liberated from the material condition of life. Sometimes we think that is a lot to grasp. Brahma knows this, and so he says, anyone who can simply be attached to you by devotional service can know your actual position, your birth, appearance, disappearance, and activities. As confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, simply by understanding your constitutional position, appearance, and disappearance, one can immediately be elevated to the spiritual kingdom after quitting this present body. So all of this is so much to grasp. Brahman realization, effulgence, the material qualities, all of these things. How can we grasp it? It doesn't matter. Anyone who can simply be attached to you by devotional service can know your actual position. Therefore, to cross over the ocean of material nescience, an intelligent person takes shelter of your lotus feet and is easily transferred to the spiritual world. There are so many so-called meditators who do not know that you are the supreme soul. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, you are the supreme soul present in everyone's heart. Again, there's that mention of 15:15, chapter 15, text 15. This yoga of the supreme person, the yoga of Sri Purushottama himself, which states that the Lord is seated within everyone's heart, and from him come all remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. Therefore, there is no necessity of one's meditating on something beyond you. One who is always absorbed in meditation on your original form of Krishna easily crosses over the ocean of material nescience. But persons who do not know that you are the supreme soul remain within this material world in spite of their so-called meditation. Here, Lord Brahma is about to explain a huge secret. Are we ready? If, by the association of your devotees, a person comes to the knowledge that Lord Krishna is the original supersoul, then it is possible for him to cross over the ocean of material ignorance. For instance, a person becomes transcendental to the mistake of thinking a rope is a snake. As soon as one understands that the rope is not a snake, he is liberated from fear. For one who understands you, therefore, through your personal teachings, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, or through your pure devotees, as stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam and all Vedic literatures, that you are the ultimate goal of understanding, he need no more fear this material existence. So just as we were saying, as we come under the shelter of Srila Prabhupada, as we come under the shelter of his disciples, those who are our spiritual teachers, as we come under the shelter of these Vedic literatures, these transcendental literatures, as we read them every day, we get the ability to cross over this material ocean of ignorance, all of these miseries, all of this fear, all of this anxiety. We get the ability to cross over it all just by following those devotees. Hang close to them. Grab onto the back of their shawls. Grab onto the back of their chatters and just stand eagerly, just waiting. so-called liberation and bondage have no meaning for a person who is already engaged in your devotional service. Just as a person who knows that the rope is not a snake is unafraid. A devotee knows that this material world belongs to you, and he therefore engages everything in your transcendental loving service. Thus there is no bondage for him. For a person who is already situated in the sun planet, there is no question of the appearance or disappearance of the sun in the name of day or night. It is also said that you, Krishna, are just like the sun, and Maya is like darkness. When the sun is present, there is no question of darkness. So for those who are always in your presence, there is no question of bondage or liberation. They are already liberated. So, as we read these pastimes and invoke the glorious presence of our Sri Krishna Chandra, there is no question of illusion, ignorance, liberation. We should understand that just being in the association of Sri Krishna through these transcendental literatures, which we should be eager to hear every day, everything is already taken care of. Krishna preserves what we have and carries what we lack at every moment. On the other hand, persons who falsely think themselves to be liberated without taking shelter of your lotus feet fall down because their intelligence is not pure. If one therefore thinks that the supersoul is something different from your personality, and thus searches out the supersoul somewhere else, in the forest or in the caves of the Himalayas, his condition is very lamentable. So we see here that there is no necessity to even leave our own homes. We are in lockdown. We can't go anywhere. And yet everything is perfect because we have this Vedic literature. The moment we read it, Krishna is there. The moment we read it, we have somehow, not on our own merit, but because Srila Prabhupada has taken out such an endeavor, somehow we have surpassed all of the great levels of tapasya just by taking shelter of the lotus feet of Govinda Dev. Your teachings in the Bhagavad Gita are that one should give up all other processes of self-realization and simply surrender unto you, for that is complete. Because you are supreme in everything, those who are searching after the Brahman effulgence are also searching after you. And those who are searching after supersoul realization are also searching after you. You have stated in the Bhagavad Gita that you yourself, by your partial representation as the supersoul, have entered into this material, cosmic manifestation. You are present in everyone's heart, and there is no need to search out the supersoul anywhere else. How can we find Krishna? Where is Krishna? He's been right here with us all along. We have just needed to put on our glasses. Srila Prabhupada says, and my Guru Maharaj says, what are the glasses? What are the lenses that help us focus and see the Supreme Lord right here beside us all along? We have to focus through the lens of the association with the pure devotees. So yes, our friends are saying that this is the blessing in disguise. That is COVID. We're home. We have nothing else to do. But we have the internet. And now it is being used more than ever before. Go on YouTube, find those lectures. Join me here as much as you can. We'll be here together. We'll get through this ocean together. So there is no need to search out the super soul anywhere else. If someone does so, he is simply in ignorance. One who is transcendental to such a position understands that you are unlimited. You are both within and without. Your presence is everywhere. Instead of searching for the super soul anywhere else, a devotee only concentrates his mind on you within. And Krishna says, think of me in my beautiful form with two hands, holding a flute, ready to do anything and everything just to have loving relationships with my people. Your presence is everywhere. Instead of searching for the Supersoul anywhere else, a devotee only concentrates his mind on you within. Actually, one who is liberated from the material concept of life can search for you. Others cannot. The simile of thinking the rope to be a snake is applicable only to those who are still in ignorance of you. Actually, the existence of a snake besides the rope is only within the mind. The existence of Maya, similarly, is only within the mind. Maya is nothing but ignorance of your personality. When one forgets your personality, that is the conditional state of Maya. Therefore, one who is fixed upon you both internally and externally is not illusioned. So sometimes we like to think, oh, Maya is coming to get us. Maya is so strong, she's going to put our influence. But we have to understand, what is our fault? What is our responsibility? We have to understand that sometimes all it is our own mind saying, where is Krishna? I can't find him. Never mind, I'll search some other time. Never mind, my spirituality can wait. My mantra meditation can wait. My journaling to Krishna can wait. Don't let our minds trick us. That is how it gets us. Maya is nothing but ignorance of your personality. When one forgets your personality, that is the conditional state of Maya. Let us all remember who Krishna is, what his personality is, and what is our relationship with him, which, as we spoke about yesterday, is as simple as knowing I am Krishna's and Krishna is mine. Somehow, if we focus our day around that, everything falls into place and we don't forget. One who has attained a little devotional service can understand your glories. Even one striving for Brahman realization or Paramatma realization cannot understand the different features of your personality unless he treads the devotional path. Everyone who is looking, yearning to find that supreme person has to walk this path of devotion. They must walk the path of love. One may be the spiritual master of many impersonalists, or he may go to the forest or to a cave or a mountain and meditate as a hermit for many, many years. But he cannot understand your glories without being favored by a slight degree of devotional service. Brahman realization or Paramatma realization are also not possible, even after one searches for many, many years, unless one is touched by the wonderful effect of devotional service. It is said that if we have the desire for devotional service, we should know that for lifetimes we have been touched by the wonderful effect of devotional service. Know that you are all so fortunate, so pious. Thank you for coming here. This means that we are all blessed. We have been blessed for lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes, and now we've come here. All we have to do is take advantage of these moments. This makes our lives perfect. This makes our lives complete. This makes our souls complete, gives us everything we've been yearning for. Know for certain, without a doubt, you are blessed. You have been blessed, and you've been touched by the wonderful effect of devotional service. Now grab it, and don't ever let it go. Sri Brahmadev continues, my dear Lord, I pray that I may be so fortunate that in this life or in another life, wherever I may take my birth, I may be counted as one of your devotees. Wherever I may be, I pray that I may be engaged in your devotional service. I do not even care what form of life I get in the future, because I can see that even in the form of cows and calves or cowherd boys, the devotees are so fortunate to be always engaged in your transcendental loving service and association. Brahma can say this because he can see how Krishna himself just took the form of all the boys and calves just to give his personal association to every mom, every father, every cow mother, every bull father. Every of those living entities had Krishna as their very own son. They could embrace him, feed him, lick him, bathe him to their heart's content. All of this happened just so Krishna could associate with his people. So Brahma is saying, let me be a devotee. Just let me be a devotee. Even if I'm not a person, even if I'm a cow, even whatever form it may be, you give your mercy to all of them. So please know that in whatever form Krishna can give his mercy. So whatever it is that you have, whether it's a flower, whether you offer milk, water, fruit, anything, once you offer it, Krishna gives his blessings. Srila Prabhupada says, if you offer a flower, the entire tree gets the blessing. If you offer a fruit, the entire tree gets the blessing. If you offer a twig, the entire tree and the ancestors of that tree get the blessings. Please know that you are giving Krishna's mercy to so many unlimited living entities just by doing your devotional service with love in your heart. It is for this reason that we offer everything. When we eat, we offer it. Because that is giving Krishna's mercy not just to us, but to countless living entities. Minuscule organisms that we can't even see. Therefore, I wish to be one of them instead of such an exalted person as I am now, for I am full of ignorance. One of my friends, Mukundangri from South Africa, was saying that these prayers highlight the immeasurable humility within the heart of Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma has taken on such a humble mood, thinking himself to be lower than even the grass, the dust of Braj, lower than everyone. And this humility, in full bloom, comes out when Lord Brahma himself takes the form of Srila Haridas Thakur within the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which we may have to get into later. But it is such a beautiful realization that yes, this is the nature of the humility of a devotee. That chinadapi sunichena, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street, more tolerant than a tree, ready to offer all respects to others. This is exemplified by Brahma in these prayers. The great creator of the universe now thinks himself to be the most fallen. The gopis and cows of Vrindavan are so fortunate that they have been able to supply their breast milk to you. Persons who are engaged in performing great sacrifices and offering many valuable goats in the sacrifice cannot attain the perfection of understanding you. But simply by devotional service, these innocent village women and cows are all able to satisfy you with their milk. You have drunk their milk to satisfaction, yet you are never satisfied by those engaged in performing sacrifices. I am simply surprised, therefore, with the fortunate position of Maharaj Nanda, Mother Jashoda, and the cowherd men and gopis, because you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, are existing here as their most intimate, lovable object. My dear Lord, no one can actually appreciate the good fortune of these residents of Vrindavan. We are all demigods, controlling deities of the various senses of the living entities, and we are proud of enjoying such privileges. But actually, there is no comparison between our position and the position of these fortunate residents of Vrindavan, because they are actually relishing your presence and enjoying your association by dint of their activities. We may be proud of being controllers of the senses, But here the residents of Vrindavan are so transcendental that they are not under our control. Actually, they are enjoying the senses through service to you. I shall therefore consider myself fortunate to be given a chance to take birth in this land of Vrindavan in any of my future lives. Srila Prabhupada often comments that the demigods are lining up to take birth as humans on this earth, in this Krishna consciousness movement, because it is here that they can perfect devotional service, unbound by their powerful lives, by their duties, by their all of their administrative opulence. Unbound by that, they can come here and perfect their devotional service. So we have a boon. We can perfect devotional service. All that has to happen is that we grasp the opportunity with both hands. My dear Lord, I am therefore not interested in either material opulences or liberation. I am most humbly praying at your lotus feet for you to please give me any sort of birth within this Vrindavan forest, so that I may be able to be favored by the dust of the feet of some of the devotees of Vrindavan. If I am given the chance to grow just as the humble grass in this land, that will be a glorious birth for me. But if I am not so fortunate to take birth within the forest of Vrindavan, I beg to be allowed to take birth outside the immediate area of Vrindavan, so that when the devotees go out, they will walk over me. Even that would be a great fortune for me. I am just aspiring for a birth in which I will be smeared by the dust of the devotees' feet. It is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita that the purpose of Vedic knowledge is to find Krishna. And it is said in the Brahma Samhita that it is very difficult to find Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by systematic reading of the Vedic literature. But he is very easily available through the mercy of a pure devotee. This is what we have with Srila Prabhupada. How do we find Krishna? You call out to Srila Prabhupada, grab hold of his chadar with both hands, and stay close. The pure devotees of Vrindavan are fortunate because they can see Mukunda, Lord Krishna, all the time. This word Mukunda can be understood in two ways. Muk means liberation. Lord Krishna can give liberation and therefore transcendental bliss. The word also refers to his smiling face, which is just like the Kunda flower. Mukha also means face. The Kunda flower is very beautiful and it appears to be smiling, and thus the comparison is made. Canto 3, Chapter 28 of Srimad Bhagavatam describes that there is an ocean of tears cried by the living entities. The living entities are dropped into an ocean of misery, and they cry tears which form an ocean. They are drowning in an ocean of tears. But in 1 second, that ocean can be evaporated. How can that ocean be evaporated? Kapila Dev says, the ocean of tears, of miseries of this material existence, can be evaporated just by once meditating on the smiling face of the Supreme Lord. By meditating on the laughter of the Supreme Lord, all miseries can be eradicated and evaporated like nothing. So, we can meditate on Sri Mukunda, whose beautiful smiling face is just like a glorious Kunda flower, whose teeth are like rows of jasmines. And all of a sudden, we'll find that our ocean of tears will be quickly soaked up like nothing. The difference between the pure devotees of Vrindavan and other devotees is that the residents of Vrindavan have no other desire but to be associated with Krishna. Krishna, being very kind to his devotees, fulfills their desires because they always want Krishna's association. The Lord is always prepared to give it to them. The devotees of Vrindavan are also spontaneous lovers. They do not follow the regulative principles. They are not required to strictly follow regulative principles because they are already naturally developed in transcendental love for Krishna. Regulative principles are required for persons who have not achieved the position of transcendental love. Brahma is also a devotee of the Lord, but he is subject to follow the regulative principles. He prays to Krishna to give him the chance to take birth in Vrindavan so that he might be elevated to the platform of spontaneous love. We should all pray to be gifted with the blessing of spontaneous love for Krishna. That all-encompassing love which says, Krishna, whatever it is, I just want to be associated with you. I just want to be associated with you somehow, and then my entire existence will be glorious. On that note, we will stop for today, and we will continue tomorrow. Usually, on a Sunday, I wouldn't read it all because we would be having kirtan. But because tomorrow is Ekadashi, and it is the month of Purushottama, and it is a very special time, and we've been going through these prayers, tomorrow we will finish them. I will post the time for it. I'm thinking it will be about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. And I'll try and post the local timings as far as possible. I hope that you will all join me so that we can find out the culmination of the sweetness and nectar of these prayers of Lord Brahma, who is now considering himself lower than the lowest. He wants nothing but to be associated with the pure devotees who can help him find Krishna. Srila Prabhupada has helped us find Krishna. He is giving us Krishna again and again and again. We just need to grab hold with both hands. So remember, I am Krishna and Krishna is mine. Grab hold to the words of Srila Prabhupada and never ever let go. And we will somehow have all of our most cherished desires fulfilled. All glories to Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Ekadashi Devi ki jai. Shri Gopal ki jai. All glories to Lord Brahma. All glories to this pastime. All glories to this month. All glories to all of you. All glories to the devotional service of Sri Krishna by which we can all come in contact with him when great yogis and mystics cannot. All glories to our good fortune by being touched by the wonderful effects of devotional service. Shri Shri Radha Govinda Dev ki jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. See you all tomorrow. Hare Krishna.